The Eddie Sutton Show. Brought to you by Farm Fresh Dairy and Bakery Products, featuring Farm Fresh's Health Break line of dairy products for your health and for your life from the good folks at Farm Fresh. By Southwestern Bell, the one to call on. And by Southwestern Bell Mobile Systems. Mobilize your life.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. I'm Robbie Robertson, along with Oklahoma State head basketball coach Eddie Sutton. This is our first show of the year. Dean Blevins will normally sit in this chair, but he had a previous commitment this week, so I'm kind of pinch hitting. Coach, welcome as you start your 23rd year as a head basketball coach, your third year at Oklahoma State. What kind of feelings do you have as you start another season?
Well, I might add, I've coached more than 23 years, Robbie, because I coached at Tulsa Central for 7 years, and then I coached at College of Southern Idaho for 3 years, which is a junior college. So I've really coached 33 years. And for the first time, I believe I have the youngest, most inexperienced basketball team I've ever coached. And they are truly teaching me what the word patience means, because it has been a little bit different than it was coaching the two previous teams I had here at Oklahoma State. They were so easy to coach because they were pretty much veterans. This ball club's been a real joy. I'm optimistic that the team is going to be good in time, but right now our fans have got to understand they too must be patient, because when you're dealing with as many young players as we are, they're going to be careless and they're going to make mistakes, and we've certainly seen that. One thing that has really hampered us, as it has any coach who has a group of young people, was the 2 weeks we lost in October. Normally basketball season would begin October 15th, and traditionally you start the season around Thanksgiving weekend. Well, the NCAA changed the rule, and this year you couldn't begin practice until November 1, and your first game was December 1. So no way you can make up that time, but hopefully we can get to Christmas vacation where we can double up on our practice sessions and maybe gain some of the ground that we lost.
All right, Coach, let the season begin, and it all started for Oklahoma State on December 1st. The Cowboys played host to Midwestern State. Your starting lineup, Coach?
Vaughn Bennett, one of our two seniors from Stillwater, Milt Brown, the other senior from Little Rock, both play on the front line. Milt probably has more playing time other than country of the returning players. Bryant Reeves, our center from Gans, Oklahoma, who continues to improve in every contest. Earl Jones, a junior from Tulsa McLean, started as point guard in this particular game, and Brooks Thompson, a redshirt from Texas A&M, who also is a junior and one of the best shooters on our ball club.
We'll talk about the rest of the starting lineup after we look at the highlights of the Midwestern State game.
Well, Midwestern State is an NAIA school coached by an Oklahoma State alum, Gerald Stockton, who was an outstanding player here, who played just ahead of me, Pistol Pete and Kevin Smith, one of our managers. Great backdoor play from country to Brooks Thompson.
Nice pass.
But Midwestern, at their level, is a very nice ball club, and we played in spurts like we've been playing all fall. We'd play well for a while and then have our problems. Vaughn Bennett missed a shot, but Milt was there to put it back in the basket. Milt had 14 points in this ball game.
Trying to get that ball down low to Bennett and or Reeves.
One of the strengths in our first three games has been the fact that we do have good inside players, and we've been able to power the ball inside. There's a good example of that. When you have a height advantage, you want to try to do that, and that's what we were able to do in this ball game, and we were also able to do it in our last outing against the University of Tulsa.
Fast break here.
Our biggest problem, and again, it's characteristic of any young basketball team, we just are too careless and not consistent in our play, but this will come in time. Scott Sutton, number 21. Good lead pass into Fred Burley, and he continues to improve in every outing. Final score 86-74.
All right, let's take a look at the rest of the Cowboy roster, and you might say something about each one of these.
Kevin Miles is our only freshman on the team. Brendan Manders, a junior college transfer. He too's from Stillwater High School. Randy Rutherford, who redshirted the second semester last year and had a great game against Tulsa in our last ball game. Scott Sutton's a junior. Fred Burley came to us from Seminole Community College. Terry Collins played some last year, and Sean Pell, he too played last year. We have 5 people that redshirted last season. We have, I guess, 4 that played and 3 newcomers. So that's an indication of how young this ball club is.
And even though I don't think there's any question you have talent on your ball club, but they just haven't played together with each other.
You hit the nail on the head, Robbie. We are young. We do have good talent, but we're just going to take a while for us to get seasoned. We need to play a few more ball games. We need to get into the Christmas holidays where we can get a lot of practices in. And if the people will be patient with us, I think we're going to be a good ball club. But I like this team. I like their work habits, and we do feel like that we are going to have a good ball club. Not as good as last year in all likelihood. When people talked about the 2 teams and they went to the Sweet 16, that would be a very worthy goal for our ball club, but one that will be very difficult to materialize. But we're going to win a lot of ball games.
All righty, we need to take a break. Stay with us. We will talk about California and Tulsa coming up. Stay with us. The Eddie Sutton Show continues right after this. Cowboys open the season at home, and Coach, you didn't waste any time and taking this ball club on the road. 4 days later after the season opener, it's out to the left coast and take on California. Pretty good ball club.
Very good basketball team in a very tough setting. Their gymnasium, Harmon, is very similar to the way Gallagher used to be before it was renovated. Crowd was right on top of the players, and I felt our team played in spurts, but the first 10 minutes we played as well as we could hope to play. We led 18-14, and then the roof fell in, and we fell behind at halftime by 15. That's what we finally lost the game by. They outscored us 28-9 over the last 10 minutes of the first half.
There were some shining moments for Oklahoma State. Randy Rutherford up with a steal and a real nice pass here to
nice fast
that
break
Sutton kid.
Off to Scott Sutton, and this is when we were playing quite well. If we took some of the highlights out of this film, well, we didn't play that like this.
This looks like we won, doesn't it?
But California is going to be in the NCAA tournament. They were picked second preseason in the Pac-10, and they are a nice ball club. And we lost the game, as I said, 80-65.
Tray there by Brooks Thompson. Is that also part of working with a young ball club, is learning how to go on the road?
Well, a game like that, you never like to lose, but you certainly can learn a lot of valuable lessons with any type of ball club. But you are going to learn probably much more with a young basketball team. Believe me, they won't have a tougher setting than what we saw out there, with the exception maybe 1 or 2 places in the Big 8. A good basketball team, they expose a lot of our weaknesses, and then it's our job as coaches to bring them back home and try to correct some of those mistakes. And I felt like we did that. Some of the things we did much better against University of Tulsa, which some of the film we're going to look at here in just a little bit.
We'll do that right now, as a matter of fact. This past Wednesday night, Oklahoma State returned to Gallagher-Iba to play host to the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. This is a good rivalry, Coach.
Very good rivalry, and Tubby Smith does a nice job with his ball club. They were 2-2 coming in. Good pass from Milt Brown into Bryant Reeves. That's what we call go high to the low postman. They're pressing. Brooks Thompson driving into the lane. We shot 74% from the field, led by Bryant Reeves. He was 10 out of 10 from the field and 6 out of 6 at the line for 26 points, had 9 rebounds. We only shot the ball 38 times and still scored 85 points.
Doesn't get any better than that.
That's Scott Sutton's first three-pointer as an Oklahoma State Cowboy. He had 7 points on 3 out of 3. Nice lead pass into Country and a nice little under-the-basket shot. There's a good shot of our young guns. Boy, what a marvelous group of guys and gals.
That's right. Fred Burley with a big slam right there.
Fred Burley, we told him before the game he has to get better defensively. He has to rebound better. Nice pass by Terry Collins off to Fred. and he needs to improve on his ball handling, but he was much more aggressive, and we felt like he did much better after grading the film. Brooks Thompson, good pass to Vaughn Bennett. Brooks scored 12 points in the ball game, but had 8 assists and really played like we want him to play. He took on a point guard mentality. There's one of his assists into Bryant Reeves. The guy that probably, if you're going to give player of the game, if you didn't give it to the big guy, and there's Bryant Reeves on a nice pass by Thompson, would be Randy Rutherford. He stepped up his game. He had 21 points and only took 6 shots, hit 9 out of 10 free throws. There's one of his 5 field goals.
Good shooter.
Very good shooter. He played very hard and played very smart. There's a nice, what we call a penetrating dribble, forcing the defense to converge on the ball. The kick out to Randy Rutherford, and he knocked down a 3. They're pressing, and the one thing you've got to tell your team, make sure you take the ball to the basket, attack, don't get passive. In the early part of this game, we were too passive, and I think we'd played 8 minutes, and we'd only scored 7 points. It's a great shot.
85-67, the final score. 3 games into the season, Coach. Are you set on a lineup, or are you still moving people around to see which 5 you want to play with?
No, we're going to be moving people around for a while. You're going to see a different starting lineup, I would think, in different games, depending on who we're playing. The one thing we always have to ask ourselves, can we cover that ball club defensively? And we're going to put the 5 on the floor that we feel like can defend the best. So the starting lineup can change, especially maybe during the next 5 or 6 ball games.
Even though this is a young club, Coach, I think followers of Oklahoma State basketball can see that this is an Eddie Sutton basketball team because of the emphasis placed on defense. They're going to play defense.
Well, we scored 85 points last night, and that's a lot of points, but still I learned a long time ago from not only basketball coaches but football coaches and any other coach that has a team sport, you better be able to stop your opponents because some nights that offense is not going to be what it should be, and if you're not playing good defense, you're in jeopardy of losing.
Play of the week is next. You stay with us here as the Eddie Sutton Show continues right after this.
This was a play made in the Tulsa game. There is the ball thrown into Bryant Reeves, and a great move underneath the basket, using the basket to shield from the defensive. Nice flush. That's almost as good a dunk as that one I do for Farm Fresh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're exactly right about that. Tell me about Bryant Reeves, though. I mean, he looks the same physically, but he looks more aggressive as a total basketball player, Coach.
Well, Robbie, he's maturing. We would hope that he's more aggressive and he feels more confident. He weighs about the same, maybe a little bit more, but Leroy Yoster, our strength coach, has done a great job with him last spring, this past summer, this fall. And when that weight has been redistributed, he's worked hard on his game, and he has a chance to be an outstanding basketball player. He's still got a long ways to go, but he is getting better.
We need to take a short break here for Southwest Airlines, and we'll come back with Coach's Corner right after this. Each week here on the Eddie Sutton Show, Coach's Corner will enable Coach Sutton to address a multitude of subjects regarding college basketball. And I think one of the things, Coach, that we hear a lot about it, and it seems like almost all the time, is the recruiting efforts. Can you bring us up to date on what has happened on the recruiting scene for Oklahoma State?
Robbie, recruiting is an endless process. That's a 365-day-a-year job. Just as soon as you finish recruiting one class, you start on another, and there are certain periods of time that you can go on the road and observe players. There's a certain time you can go into homes and make home visitations. This fall, we were very fortunate to sign 3 outstanding prospects. Keontae Roberts, who plays for Oklahoma Christian School, we feel like he's going to be a great point guard. He has marvelous passing instincts. We signed a big center out of the Denver area, Ben Baum, 6'11", got those marvelous soft paws, has a chance to be an outstanding center, and also can probably play a 4 position. And Ian Phillip is a young man who plays for Northern Community College up in Tonkawa. He'll be coming in after this season. He's helping his ball club a great deal this year. So we feel very fortunate that we have recruited 3 outstanding young men who are good students, who will be a great asset to our program. We'll only be losing a couple of players, Milt Brown and Vaughn Bennett. So we feel like recruiting's in good shape, and our coaches have been out here this past week looking at juniors, and that's not to say that we might not sign another player in the spring if the right one comes along.
All righty. Lots of basketball ahead for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. We'll take this final break, and we'll be right back. The Eddie Sutton Show continues right after this. The Cowboys have won 2 of the first 3 this year, and Coach, you'll be home again this coming Saturday night to take on the Baylor Bears. What can you tell us about Baylor?
Well, I hope we have a full house and all of our fans are wild and make a lot of noise, because we're going to need them to play the part of the 6th man. Baylor is 4-0, undefeated. New coach, Daryl Johnson, who did such an outstanding job at OCU, won a couple of national titles. He's taken that same philosophy down to Baylor. Their team is playing with a lot of confidence. They've had 4 very impressive wins. Good talent. Tim Jankovich, one of my assistant coaches, was there last year. He knows Baylor very well. Their philosophy is very similar to ours. They want to play tough man-to-man defense. They'll run as often as they can. They've got a big player in Holcomb who's averaging over 20 points a ball game. They're shooting 55% from three-point range, so we're going to have to our defense is really going to be tested, and they certainly are going to present problems because they have the big inside force, and yet they have the outside shooting. And I might say that Wynn Case, who played here, has gone on to do quite well at Oklahoma City. They lost their first game the other night to Central Arkansas after a long winning streak. And Binky Triplett's playing for them, who played for us last year. I might take this opportunity just to tell all of the people that are watching, get out and support your local college team and your local high school programs, because they need your help just like every program does.
Coach, Kansas had an impressive victory over Indiana, and the Big Eight's really off to a good start this year. How would you evaluate the league?
Well, the Big Eight's been ranked the top league the last 2 seasons, and it would seem to me that from top to bottom it's going to be up there again as one of the premier leagues in the country. The Jayhawks won a very impressive win over Bobby Knight and company at Indiana last Saturday afternoon, and that's a good win for our league. I hope all of our fans cheer for all the other teams in our conference, except when they play us. And Kansas beating Indiana, that allowed them to move up to second place. There's only been 2 losses in the Big Eight thus far in non-conference play. We lost to Cal, and Iowa State lost to a very fine basketball team in the preseason NIT at Florida State. So the Big Eight's going to be tough again.
Not only some new faces on your ball club, but you've got some new faces on the coaching staff as well.
Well, we lost some good coaches. We lost Rob Evans, and I'm always pleased when my assistants have an opportunity to head their own program, and he's down at Ole Miss, and he's doing very well. They're 3-0. They beat McNeese State on the road this week, and of course Russ Pennell was one of my assistants, and Rob took him. And Sean is down there assisting. So they're having a lot of fun. They're undefeated, and I'm thrilled that they're doing so well. The 2 guys that replaced Russ and Rob, Paul Graham, who came to us from New Mexico. He was an assistant with Dave Bliss. Tim Jankovich, who's been at a lot of different places and been an assistant with a lot of outstanding coaches. So those guys are doing a great job for us. And, of course, I have Bill Self, who's been here for a while. I have an outstanding staff, and many times the head coach is given too much credit. Assistant coaches do a lot of work, and they too deserve just as much credit as the head man. All
right, we're out of time. Good luck to you against the Baylor Bears. The Eddie Sutton Show will be here again next week. Check your local listings. For Eddie Sutton at Oklahoma State University, I'm Robbie Robertson. Goodbye, everybody.